What's going on, guys? We're heading down to make sure the broadheads are dialed in for opening day of archery deer season. It is Saturday the 28th of August and we got 2 days till deer season starts, so we're gonna run down at the end of the road and just start at 20 yards, go to 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. Make some adjustments and make sure everything's dialed in and ready to go for opening morning. I've got a couple great bucks that I've been watching for about a month now. Now I know that as soon as opening day starts, they're not going to be where they have been for the last month because that's just typical hunting. But I got them patterned pretty good, and I'm hoping that opening day or that week of opening week, I have most of it off work. I'm hoping I can get a good buck on the ground, and I'm going to bring you guys along to show you all of it. So today I'm bringing you along for sighting in the bow, and let's get at it. Alright guys, well, I made it out here to the little archery spot. Pretty hard to see it, but this is 50 yards. My target is right there. Here's my brand new Mathews V3 31. I got it set at 70-pound draw. I'm a 27.5 inch draw length. Got RIP TKO arrows with Exodus broadheads. And we're gonna go up there, start at 20 yards. And then we're gonna work our way back to 50. And then if everything's dialed in, we'll go 60. And then we'll go to 70. So here we go. Let's see how this goes. It's been about a week since I shot my bow. Alright, first shot with the broadheads. 125 grain with 50 grain inserts. Like I said, it's been a little while since I shot. So hopefully everything's still dead on. It was dead on when I left, so. Alright, so at 20 yards we are dead on. Absolutely killer, dead on. So at 40 I'm dropping my arm a little bit. So this might have been a miss. These two would be dead kill shots. Let's try 40 again. We already broke one arrow. We hit it with another one and shattered it at 30. I had 4 arrows in a hole about that big. So let's go back and try 40 one more time. Well guys, we're in at 50 now. Elevation is good, but I'm shooting a little bit to the right. But everything up to 45 yards is dead on. So I think at 50, it might be because I've shot about 40 or 50 arrows and I'm not quite used to my bow being at 70 pounds. I think that I'm pulling to the right a little bit, but we're gonna give it another 5 or 6 arrows and test it out. and just try to slow down and see if I can get it a little bit tighter. All right, that felt good. That was 50 yards, and I made a little adjustment on my 50-yard pin. I pulled it to the right just a little bit, and that felt pretty good for me at 50 yards. I'm also practicing holding my bow back full draw for 3 or 4 minutes before I shoot, just in case I come up on a bedded buck. There we go. That's not the best group in the world. Definitely kind of sucks, to be honest, but that's better than where I was at. I was hitting up here and to the right, and I made an adjustment and I was hitting up here and to the left. And now at 50 yards, after holding the bow back for 3 to 5 minutes per shot at full draw, that's my group. So not too bad. See if I can dial it in a little better and get them more centered. I would prefer not to take a shot past 35 or 40, but if I have to, I'd like to be dialed into 60, just in case. I am hunting this sagebrush, high desert country. Not a lot of places to hide. I'm actually going to be hunting up past this ridge here, up on the next side. And I spotted 3 4x4s yesterday up past this knoll here, about a mile back. So I'm gonna be hunting flat, just sagebrush, and not gonna be a lot of cover. So if I can get within 50 yards, I'll be doing pretty good. I'd like to take a shot 50 yards or closer. All right, guys, well, I'm gonna give my arm a break for a minute and then we'll get back to shooting. We're gonna do 50 yards, 10 more arrows at 50 yards, and then we're gonna do 10 arrows at 60. Dial in that 60-yard pin a little bit more, and we're gonna call it a night. But I wanted to go over some of the stuff that I'm gonna be using this season. So first off, we're gonna start off with my release. This is a Scott archery release. It's a Ghost. It's an index finger release, and I like it because when you get really good with these, I always wanted to learn how to use a back tension release, and I just haven't gotten around to buying one yet. And since the season's already here, I don't want to change up, but I can use this as a just like a back tension release. And I have it set on the lightest setting you can possibly get for the trigger, and it helps me a lot with that getting that surprise shot. Also, it's super comfortable and it locks in really good on your wrist. I don't have to worry about it falling off or losing it when I'm out in the field. And also, when it's on my wrist, I can tuck it back and tuck it down so it runs along my forearm right there, and it's not flopping around making noise, and it's not getting in the way while I'm pulling arrows out and stuff. And then it's really simple to just clip it back up, and it sits up in the perfect spot. So I just had this bow built about a month ago, and I did cheap out on one thing, and I'm kind of wishing I didn't. One thing I did cheap out on was I got this Fuse archery 5-pin adjustable sight, and it's not bad. It's not horrible. The pins are really easy to adjust and everything, but it doesn't have all the adjustments that I would like second and third axis. But for this season, The bow build by itself right here was right around $3 grand. It was $2,900 with arrows, the drop away, Trinity drop away rest. And I just, at the time when I had this bow built, I didn't have the money to really go with one of the top of the line sights, so I went with one of the more middle of the road, cheaper ones. But I like it. I just know that next year I'm definitely going to upgrade. Hopefully I'll get a buck down this year with it, and my elk coming up in November, if I can get on elk. Both my deer tag and elk tag are either sex, so if I get a doe at 30 yards, perfect broadside, I'm gonna put meat in the freezer. I'm not going after antlers this year. It would be awesome to shoot a giant buck. It would be awesome to shoot a good mature buck, but I'm really focused on just accuracy. And if I get a doe at 30-40 yards broadside or quartering away and it's a good shot, I'm gonna take it, because I would rather have meat in the freezer than eat my tag. So back to the bow. It's set at 70-pound draw, and I forget what mods I have on here. I have the I mods on here, so it's maxed out with these mods at my draw length. It's maxed out. I cannot go any farther than 70 pounds. I might be able to get away with 73, but honestly 70 pounds is good enough for me. Plus I have heavy arrows, heavy front of center arrows. I'm shooting RIP TKO arrows, 400 spine with 50 grain inserts and 125 grain Exodus three blade fixed broadheads. I absolutely love these broadheads. It was a dream to get the bow sighted in with these. They pretty much fly identical to my field points. I had to do a little bit of tweaking at 40 yards and farther, but up until 40 yards they flew exactly on with my pins for my field points. And at 50 yards I literally only had to make a very, very minor change. Obviously I hit 2 of my arrows today, so took the fletching off of this one and snapped one of my other ones, which actually is in the ATV there. So I got this Mathews EHS Nano. This is my stabilizer. It goes on the front of the bow. Eventually I am going to get one that's a little bit heavier, a little bit longer, because I was born with a natural shake. I constantly shake all the time. I've never been able to stop it. I've just learned to, I've grown up and learned how to deal with it. And the more weight I have on my bow, even though it sucks for packing purposes and cutting down on weight, but the more weight that I have on my bow, the less I shake and the easier it is for me to get steadier shots. Everybody's different. If you don't have that shake, one of these just starting out is a perfect, it's actually an awesome stabilizer. So far my thoughts on the bow itself, it is an amazingly quiet bow. When I bought this bow, I tried the Hoyt Ventum and the Bowtech Solution, and then I shot this Mathews V331, and I also shot their smaller Mathews, the 27. And to be honest, I was this close to buying the Hoyt Ventum. I loved it. I loved the back wall on it. It was a little bit louder, and it didn't feel as dead in the hand to me as the Mathews did. And I went in and I spent hours. Awesome bow shop. down here in Boise. I'll get you guys the name later. I think it's Dead On Archery. In fact, I'm positive it is Dead On Archery. They let me basically take all 3 bows, shoot them. I shot 20-30 arrows out of all of them, and really went from the Bowtech Solution, the Hoyt, and the Mathews down to the Mathews and the Hoyt, and I shot those some more, and then I ended up just picking the Mathews V3 and 31 axle to axle, and I love it to death. It's got amazing speed. It's the fastest bow I've ever shot. It's the deadest in my hand. Now everybody's different. The only thing that is not perfect on it is the back wall. When you come out of the valley into the back wall when you're at full draw, it's not quite as crisp and solid as the Hoyt Ventum was, but it's something that now that I've shot it 200-300 arrows through it, it doesn't bother me anymore. In fact, I'm very happy with my purchase. Like I said, guys, the full setup on this bow was right about $3 grand. And that's everything: arrows, broadheads, field points, having the arrows cut down to size, getting the draw, the Hamskea Trinity drop away arrow rest, the sight, which I cheaped out on a little bit, the release. I bought 24 arrows, and I'm glad I did at this point because I've broken like 12 of them already. The problem with modern arrows, especially carbon fiber ones, that if you hit them with a broadhead or you hit them with a field point and they get cracks or they get nicks in them, you do not want to test shooting them again. If that arrow breaks when you release your string and that arrow fractures or snaps or shatters, it can go right through the meat of your hand, it can go through your arm. So if I get any nicks or cracks or anything in my arrows, I always just throw them away. $100 pack of arrows is much more worth it than having to go to the ER with a hole in your arm. Another thing I got, and every bow hunter, everybody shooting bows should have it, is just seal tile. It's bowstring wax, and I wax my bow every second time I shoot it, or if it sits in the case for a long time. If it sits in there for 2 weeks and I'm gonna go out and shoot it, I wax my strings. You don't want to completely over wax your strings, but you also don't want them to get dry at all. You can tell when a bowstring is getting dry by, you'll get these little frays, and right now I don't have any that I can show you, but you'll get little frays along your strings, and if you see that, it's real simple. Just take your bowstring wax, and I wax everything from top to bottom. It takes about 10 minutes. I take my time and take really good care of this bow. It was a huge investment for me. I don't make a lot of money, and I hunt, I'm a budget hunter, but when it comes to my equipment, I like good quality equipment that's gonna last me a long time. And so far I'm extremely happy with my purchase. So that's a little bit about my setup. It's not perfect. I'm not a professional archer. I'm actually brand new to this. This is going to be my first archery season with my own bow and everything. I have shot archery when I was younger. I've been around archery most of my life, but I've been a rifle hunter also for most of my life, and I decided that this year I was going to take the next step, get some good equipment, get a good bow, and I've always been intrigued by archery hunting, that getting in close, that awesome feel, and I just can't wait to share my experience with you guys on putting down an animal this year. Please stay tuned. I'm going to have all my scouting trips, all my hunting trips. I'm also going to do all my butchering and harvest of the animal, everything that I save. I'm gonna save every salvageable piece of meat off the animal that I can this year. Also, one more thing, guys. I'm going to be doing my own antler mounts this year. I have a couple elk antlers from raghorns that my dad has shot in the past that are just sitting in the garage that he capped off. And I'm gonna be doing some custom, personal, just simple, easy, do-it-yourself videos on how I mount my antlers. There's really easy ways to do it. When I get to that point, I will bring you guys along and show you how it's done. But if you have any old, used, you know, old antlers laying around on the barn, in the garage, taking up space, there's a awesome way to use them and respect them like they should be. If you take an animal, you want to be proud of that animal, which I guarantee 99% of you guys are proud of your animals. So why not show them off? I'm very excited about this. I've never done it, so I'm going to have to, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve to it, but I have a couple spare sets of antlers at home that I'm going to try out with. And once I get it down, I will show you guys the exact process of how I do it. And all of them are going to be just capped antler mounts. I'm not going to do any full skull mounts or shoulder mounts or anything like that. I'm not a taxidermist, but at the same time, I also don't have the money to take my deer to the taxidermist. It's $400, $500, $600, $700 sometimes to get a good shoulder mount of a buck, and at this time I don't have the money to do that. So I will be doing my own capped antler mounts this year, and I'm very excited to bring you guys along. So far, thank you guys for following me today on another episode of Billy's Idaho Adventures. I can't wait to take you guys up over that hill, and up over those mountains there, chasing deer, chasing elk, and hopefully getting a big old buck on the ground this year. Thank you guys for joining me today, and remember, like and subscribe if you like these videos. I'm super excited about this. I know I don't have a ton of viewers right now, and I'm not really doing this for money or sponsors or anything. I'm doing this so I can share my knowledge with other people like you out on YouTube and on social media platforms. Remember guys, Billy's Idaho Adventures, I will be back with you as soon as I go on another adventure. Thank you guys so much. Remember, shoot straight, be safe, and I'll see you guys out there on the mountain.